Hello, I'm Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited about today's video because it is April mini journal zine time. And if you haven't seen any of the previous ones, it's where we sit and create our little mini journals for the new month. And I've just been so happy to see so many people tagging me in their little zines. In fact, I know lots of people have already created theirs for April, which is just wonderful to see people really enjoying this little project. And if you haven't done any of them before, you really don't need many supplies. One A4 sheet of paper. And then just use anything that you have for adding decorations. The most important thing really is just to use it to document some of the key things from throughout the month. And in the video, I'm going to talk you through each of the steps so that you can easily create one by yourself. They only take a few minutes, and I'm also going to share how I create my first couple of pages as well, just to give you some ideas and share with you how my March journal zine turned out. And one of the things I've really loved is I've had quite a few people now messaging me asking if they can share this with their youth groups, classes, especially when they're having to do more things on Zoom and they want to do something to help inspire other people at home to get creative and documenting. So for me, it's just been one of my favourite projects of all time. So I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So I'm going to start off by sharing a quick flip through of my mini journal zine from March. So I made this one whilst on camera, so you can go back and have a look at this if you like. And I completed the first few pages during that video as well. So I've added some more. So this was a photo that I included to say that copies of my new book have arrived, which I'm really excited about. And I included a sticker for anybody who orders directly from me, receives a signed book and a sticker sheet. So I used one of the stickers from there. Another question I get asked a lot is about which printer I use for my photos. And I use this Brother colour label printer, and you can put different size cassettes in the back so that you can print out all sorts of different sizes. And I did do a full review and demo video for Brother, so I'll leave a link to that as well as the printer down below. So, and I used some washi tape from London Gifties. For this page, I wrote about the fact that my daughter went back to university, and I found this beautiful illustration online of a mum hugging her daughter. So I'm so happy that she's got a little bit of normal back, but of course it was quite an emotional time for me. And then I just wrote out a kind of a summary of the month, how I'd felt about it being a real emotional roller coaster with my daughter going back to uni, but then my new book's arriving. I've been doing lots of filming and collaboration workshops and things like that. So, you know, a real roller coaster of a month. And I'm just loving having all of these together. So that was my January, my February and March. So now I'll move on to creating my April zine. And I did do a demonstration of how I made them on the very first video back in January, but it's been a little while, so I thought I'd go through the whole process again so you don't have to keep going back and finding that very first video. So I'm going to be using some A4 paper, and again I've had a few questions about what paper I use. And the one I'm using is some Staples colour laser printer, and it's in 120 GSM. So it's not essential at all, but I found that's been quite a nice weight to use. It's quite firm, and I find that's really helpful for just keeping the journal zine sort of nice and stiff and not too floppy. So when you're making the zine, the first thing you want to do is fold your piece of paper in half lengthways, and the neater you can get the folds, the better kind of result your zine's going to be. But you know, these are just supposed to be a fun project, so don't put too much pressure on yourself. And I'm then using a bone folding tool to get that line nice and crisp, but you could use the edge of a ruler or just your finger. So once you've got that, you want to open it back out again and then fold up in the other direction. And again, just trying to get those corners as close to each other as you can. Again, then just make that fold nice and crisp. Okay, so the next stage is taking this top piece and folding it back into the centre. So you take that right to the outside edge. Press it down. I love these. I think they're just so nice and quick to do. And I know at the end of the year, I'm going to be so happy to have all of those 12 zines together. And I just love seeing what everybody else is doing with theirs too. It's just such a wonderful little project. And I've had people sharing videos with me and photos of where they've been doing them with school groups, youth groups, and I just think that's absolutely wonderful. Okay, so we've now got those folds made. So what you should have here now is a piece of paper that looks like this. So what we're going to do is fold it back out this way, and then you've got a line here where we're going to cut from the centre fold through to this fold here. Again, the neater you can get this, the neater you'll find your zine is in the end. So just snipping that to that central point. And then stand it up like this, pull them apart. So you've got this nice cross shape, and then you can just fold your zine over. And I'm then going to run the bone folding tool against all of those creases just to try and get it as crisp as possible. And you can see, even with that care, I've still got some wonky pages there, but I really don't think it matters, especially when you've then put your cover on as well. And the other thing I like to do with my zines is use this corner punch. So make sure you're doing it on the outside edges, not along your fold here. And that's also going to help to tidy up. If your folding hasn't gone quite as well, this is going to hide a few of your mistakes. And I really like the look of the rounded edges as well. I think this is a large, oh yeah, it's a large size corner punch. And again, I always try and link all of the products that I've used down below. But definitely handy for hiding any of the little folds where they've not quite lined up as you might have liked. So there we go, that's the basis of the zine now together. And now I'm going to move on to the decoration. And I've picked out some patterned paper that I want to use, and this is from the Flow book for paper lovers. I've got a couple of these. Absolutely brilliant books. I bought these directly from Flow a couple of years ago when they were on offer. I think you can still find them on Amazon occasionally. I'll leave it linked, but I think because they're kind of in quite short supply now, sometimes the prices on them are crazy high, but definitely worth looking at Flow's website as well. So I'm going to open my zine back up, and I'm going to use some Pritt stick all over this and then place the patterned paper on top. Any kind of patterned paper, wrapping paper, look through your recycling if you're looking for sort of like a vintagey style, maybe some old envelopes, or you could just decorate it yourself, paint it, doodle over it. Put photos on the front, use a page from a magazine, absolutely anything you like. Let's see whether it will just fit that way around. I'm just going to press that down nice and firmly. And I'm going to fold my zine over. Just make sure that you're happy that that's stuck down nice and neatly, and then I'm going to trim around the edges. So that's the main bit of my cover complete, but I want to add some more decoration. And this sticker book came from London Gifties. I find it so handy for putting in all of my different stickers, particularly if I've only got a few left on a sheet and I don't want to forget about them. And these stickers were part of my printables bundle last month that's available either in my shop or on Patreon if you're interested. So I thought it'd be quite nice to add a few of these just to add a bit of brightness to that black and white cover. I think I might add some little berries as well along the bottom. And one of the things I've added on the front of all of the covers so far is some of these stickers, little quote stickers. They're from the Tim Holtz Ideology sticker pack. And I really like looking through these to find something which kind of speaks to me about how I want the month to feel. So I think I'm going to go for Today is Full of Possibilities. I think that would be a nice little reminder for the month. So I'm just going to stick that down across there. And I'm going to use a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib. And I'm going to write April 21. And thank you to everybody that sent in suggestions for how to bind all of these little zines together. I've definitely had a read through all of your comments. At the moment, I've just been using some rubber bands to hold them. But I'm still thinking, I imagine I'm probably going to wait till much nearer the end of the year when I've got a feel for how big they're going to be when they're all together, and then come up with something, either a cover to put around all of them or maybe a little box or something like that. But yeah, I think I'll probably wait till nearer the end of the year when I know kind of how much room they're going to take up. So that is my zine cover now all done. And I'm probably only going to create 2 pages on camera today. And partly it's because I know I've got some really exciting things coming up in April. Part 1 is my birthday, so I'll definitely know I want to document that. But I've also got something else exciting coming up, which I will definitely be taking a photograph of and including in here. So I'm thinking on my first page, I'd quite like to do a little cover page for April. So I'm going to be using one of the cover pages from my new book, very excitingly. So I've got a chapter in here called A New Chapter, and that's where I've included some kind of cover page ideas. And I thought it'd be really nice to try and do a mini floral wreath, and it'd be interesting to see how I get on in this size. So that's what I'm going to be creating, something similar to that, probably not exactly the same. So I'm going to do that and then probably use one other page to set some intentions for the month. So I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I'm going to start off by using a compass to very lightly draw the outline of my circle for where I want my wreath to be. If you don't have a compass though, don't worry, you could definitely freehand this, because the lines I'm going to be using for my actual branches are all going to be wavy and wobbly, so just kind of have a go at doing your best circle that you can. Because it's such a small page, I know that a little bit of the decoration is going to go onto the right hand side, but I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm then using a pencil to very loosely draw in where I want some of the main flowers to go. And this is a Blackwing pencil, which was really kindly sent to me by Art from the Heart, included with my last order. I'm now going to start inking in the details, and for this I'm using a Sakura Pigma Micron pen in a size 1. And I'm going to have 3 main flowers as the focal point on my wreath, and then the rest of it will be branches with some very small flowers and leaves going around the outside. I love creating floral wreaths as a cover page because just with a few simple changes you can really make it reflect the season that you're currently in. I want this one to really signify spring and all of the flowers coming into bloom, but if I was doing this in the autumn I'd decide to use possibly more oranges and browns, whereas I'm going to use lots of bright colours for this. And the 2 flowers on the outside of the main one are just really simple flicked and curved lines. And you can see here I'm now adding those curved branches, and that's what I meant. If your circle's not perfect, don't worry, because unless you're going to want to follow those lines precisely, adding those little wavy branches is a really good way to disguise it. And I decided that I wanted an open wreath, so I'm going to leave those 2 just kind of hanging there at the top at the moment. And I'm now adding some little stems coming out of the side that will have really small flowers on the top and some tiny leaves. I'm balancing my wreath out by doing the same things on both sides of those 3 larger flowers, and then I'm going to finish this off by just adding some really simple leaves and branches. I find these so relaxing to do, and there's just so many different kinds of easy flowers and leaves that you can doodle just to give it a slightly different feel each time. Once I've finished inking in all of the details, I'm going to start adding lots of colour. And for this, I'm going to be using some Brunzeal pencils by Royal Talons. But depending on the paper that you've used, you could use any kinds of pens, pencils, or even watercolour paint for your colour. As I mentioned, I'm going to be using lots of bright colours because I really want that lovely spring feel to my cover page. And April's often a really happy month for me, and I kind of want to encourage that in as well with the use of lots of beautiful bright colours. But say if you're in the autumn at the moment, then you could definitely add different kinds of leaves and perhaps focus on browns and oranges and add lots of berries maybe instead of the big flowers. I often include cover pages in all of my journals when we get to a new month. For me, it's just that little symbol of a new month, a fresh start, and kind of entering a new chapter. I'd love to know if you've been creating a mini journal zine each month, and if so, what kinds of things you've been documenting in it. Now that my floral wreath is finished, I'm using a black Muji gel pen to write out the word April in the centre, and then underneath I'm going to write the quote, "There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy." Now that that's done, I'm going to move on to my second page, and this is where I'm going to set my intentions for the month. And I decided I wanted to add a background onto this page, so I'm going to use some distress ink in a pale blue and use an ink blending tool to press that through the stencil all over my page. I think that using stencils with a coloured ink pad is a really lovely way to add some decoration to a blank journal page, because it's so quick and easy to do, but for me already makes that page feel a little bit more inviting to write on top of. This is one of the washi tape rolls that you can get free if you order from London Gifties using the code Helen. This is one of the Journal with Purpose co-brand washi tapes. And I'm going to add a strip of this all the way along the right hand side of the page. I thought the colours of this tape and the background gave a really nice hint of spring. I wanted something that didn't detract too much from the wreath on the left, but hopefully nicely complemented it. I've got these gorgeous stickers from Powder World on Etsy, so I'm going to pick 2 of those to add as some extra decoration. And I decided to go for that lovely pale blue journal cover, which I'm going to add on the bottom right, and then I'll add a little plant sticker too. I find this mini size such a fun and low pressure way to create and document, and it just fills me with so much joy looking back through these little journal zines, and I already can't wait to see all 12 of them together at the end of the year. I'm now going to write out my intentions for the month, and I have separate goals that I set which are really clear things that I want to get done, but these are much softer things. So on here I'm going to be writing laugh as often as possible, get even clearer on my priorities, be grateful every day, take long walks in nature, try lots of new things, read great books and set clearer boundaries. And I think that will be a really lovely reminder for me throughout the month of kind of how I want this month to feel and how I want to behave. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this video, and if you do create your own mini journal zine, please do tag me in your photo on Instagram. I'm at Journal with Purpose, because I'd absolutely love to see what you've created. If you've got any questions or comments, as always, please do leave them down below. I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video.